I need more Thunderbolts!
Thunderbolts.
Can I borrow Thunderbolt?
A thunderbolt to mix it well.
It's simply Dragon.
Welcome to the hangout. To the hangout. Welcome to the hangout. To the hangout. Welcome to the hangout. To the hangout. Welcome to the hangout.
Hey, yeah, baby.
Chill.
Back in the building.
Chill.
That's right, y'all. That's right. Y'all already know, man. Your boys are back. What's up, Hangerz? How y'all doing? How you feeling? All
My
right.
beautiful Hangerz.
Beautiful. Now watch this real quick before we do this little intro. I'm going to say something because this is Disney related. You know what I mean? So for all those people that know, you know what I mean? If you know, you know, right? I'm going to say something, and those real ones out there, they'll get me. May the 4th be with you. Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Another Disney property. You know what I'm saying? You know, even though this is Marvel, we are recording on May the 4th. So May the 4th be with all you out there. All right.
My young Jedis and Siths,
You
stand
know?
up. This our
All
day.
right. Padawans as well. That's right.
Oh, of course, my young Padawans.
That's right. And just remember, these are not the droids you're looking for. That's right. Okay. You already know, man. You already know who it is, man. It is that PRICE. And who do I have on this review with me?
Yowie wowie, ladies and germs. It is your sovereign X, the unannounced, and we are back with another titillating review. Price, I got a question for you, boss.
Yeah.
You know what May is?
I do know what May is, but it sounds like this is a trick question. But other than and the month that brings flowers after the April showers, I mean, what's May?
Well, not only does it bring May flowers after April showers, but it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So shout out to everybody who may be dealing with something. The Hangout, our Hangerz, we're here with you in spirit always, and it's very apropos, kinda in a way, you know.
Look at that boy! Look at that vocabulary, man.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you already
you know
got all the titillating. You know what I mean? So, okay. May is vocabulary month as well, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, no, that is awesome, man. Great insertion right there. I appreciate you, putting us up on game. So, yeah, no, man, that's perfect. Bro. Thank you,
Absolutely.
bro. Yes,
Absolutely.
man. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, well, hey, and listen, it's funny that you would say this because technically we can kind of tie this in to our review because, I mean, some people on this team, they may have had some mental health issues, according to the movie that we just saw. You know what I mean? And we're looking deep into the lore of what we call the Thunderbolts. Asterisk. Don't forget the asterisk. Let me put some respect. Let me put some asterisk on their name. These people here, some people would think that they may have mental health issues as well. So that is perfect. Good little tie-in, man. Look at you. You know
what I'm saying? I love to give the Hangerz something to, nibble on, chew on before a little appetizer before they get to the main course, brother. You know what I'm saying? The only way y'all get these gems and these nuggets, though, is y'all got to make sure that y'all please like. Subscribe. And turn that bell on so y'all get these notifications for when we drop. Because we always going to have some nuggets. And as y'all can see, we going to put y'all first before the review. Always. Yes,
absolutely. And if you keep saying nuggets, I am definitely going to get hungry. So, yes, please, y'all do that.
Okay. That's my last time saying that.
And I'm like, ooh, nuggets sound delicious right now.
Don't it though?
Yeah, for real. So yeah, no, that's perfect. Y'all heard the man. Like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on, man. Heard him. Do it. Do it now, right now. Just stop what you're doing and do it. All right.
You could do both at the same time. You could listen to us and keep doing it.
I love it. That's perfect, man. As we said, we are definitely doing the Thunderbolts asterisk today. All right. We're about to find out, is it worthy of the hype that it's been getting so far? You know what I mean? Or is it just something that, is another throwaway Marvel movie? Because, I mean, of course, we all know. I mean, and we love Marvel, right? But Marvel, they've had some challenges. They've had some struggles along the way. And
ups and downs, for
down?
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Ebbs and flows, if you may. But here's the thing. This is a good problem. You know why? Because Endgame, it's hard to top. Okay, it is hard to top something as magnificent as Endgame was, and we don't know how that feels to top your best work. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. So I've kind of been a little easy on Marvel, to be honest with you, man.
Okay, cutting them some grace, introducing grace into the chat. Cutting them some slack a little bit. Let them cook. Let them cook.
Let them cook. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a master plan that we're not seeing. So let's trust the process, man. Let's trust the process. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Yeah. So with that being said, we can't begin this thing off without doing what we do, and there's only one person that can do it the way he does it, because they cannot review it the way we do it. So if you don't mind, my man, please grace us with some footage, some beautiful beam footage.
Here is Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts asterisk trailer.
Sure.
Let's talk facts. The Avengers are not coming. Who will keep the American people safe?
There's some big threat out there, and you are gonna help me stop it.
Wait, us?
Yeah, you. Why, you got someplace to be?
I love that guy.
So none of us comply? So what, we all just punch and shoot?
I can't think of a worse group of people trying to work together.
Stop! Please, John, stop!
Where were you?
Where are you?
Everyone here has done bad things. You can't escape the past. Hey, it's like your mind is somewhere else.
So you can do something about it now, or live with it forever.
This could get messy.
No shit. You thought you were gonna be some great saviors? You can't even save yourself.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
Lena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
Okay, that was really good.
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
God, thank you.
This has makings of team that can rise to glory. Bring light from the darkness. This team can be the heroes on the Wheaties box with a little giddy toy.
Alexei, have you slept?
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
I'd like not to die today, so maybe somebody else should be driving.
Woo. Okay.
That's a lot of bean in that footage, dog. A
lot of it. It's spilling over, as a matter of fact. So much being in that footage. A lot of action, a lot of explosions. Looks like a Michael Bay movie. As a matter of fact, so many explosions going on in that movie. For the people who know Michael Bay, they know. Yeah, man. Okay, so Thunderbolts with the asterisk. You guys heard it here. Definitely a lot going on. This is not your average Marvel movie. Let's get that established right now. These are your anti-heroes. So these are the kind of people that you are dealing with. And I will go as far as to say as well that these have been maybe the bad guys in other movies, you know, if they were pitted up against our traditional heroes, right? So, as we know, especially Bucky Barnes, of all people, right? That was the Winter Soldier. He was the antagonist in Captain America 2, the Winter Soldier. And now he's a hero, an anti-hero. So,
I'd also like to point out that he if you're looking through the right lens, he was also a villain in Civil War as well. I just want to point that out too. You know.
Very good. Absolutely. You're right. Depending on whose side you're on. Were you team Cap or were you team Iron Man? That's very good. Very good, man. So yes. And I will say, man, shout out to Bucky Barnes, man, because Bucky is still in it. I mean, there's some heroes that have died, you know, he's not around anymore, but Bucky's still here. Bucky's 100 and some years old, man. And
talk about a 180 of his life completely. You know what I'm saying? If you know, you've been with this movie franchise, you just seen Bucky go through some things.
Yeah,
so to see where he at now, you know what I'm saying? Complete 180.
It's amazing. They have definitely fleshed out his character. His character arc actually is amazing. Probably one of the best in the whole Marvel universe from what I've seen so far. So, yeah. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump on into this, man, while we're naming our characters. We do have Florence Pugh, and we know Florence Pugh is labeled the new Black Widow. All right.
Some people say White Widow, you know, if they want to be specific, you know, so your determination, but that's what she is.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, and she took over that role basically from her sister Scarlett Johansson's character, you know, Black Widow, who was with us in the first Avengers, of course, you know. So, and you know, and I know people give Black Widow the movie crap and everything, but I think it was okay, man. It wasn't bad. I mean, I've seen worse.
Man. Yeah, man. I think it gets a lot of flack. I think maybe the timing of it too could have been its hindrance as well, but I think it was overall pretty good and a solid storytelling movie, you know.
Absolutely. And you know, I guess what else was weird about it was a prequel. You know what I mean? Because of course spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen Endgame, we definitely lost, you know, Scarlett Johansson's, you know, character. So when she sacrificed herself for the good of the people.
And that's why I say timing wise, because not the year that the movie came out, I just think the placement of it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do that after something like that,
right?
It could kind of, well, why do we need this now that y'all done already did this? You know, it's.
She should have gotten her movie ahead of that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows it. You know what I mean? Everybody else got their movie. She should have got her movie. So, but shout out to Scarlett. You know what I'm saying? She did her thing. We loved her. And this is cool, the passing of the torch. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, because we do get used to our characters, right? We don't ever want them to go, but come on, man. You know, people kind of either age out of the character, or you know, they just want to do other stuff, right? You know what I mean? They want to stretch their legs. They are actors, and some of them, you know, are they come from Broadway. They, you know what I mean, very esteemed actors, and they want to actually stretch their legs and be something more than a superhero. You know what I'm saying? For the rest of their lives. Exactly. So I'm cool with the passing of the torch. Just give us something good, and we will get to that. Next, we have Lewis Pullman. I wasn't super familiar with him until I read up on some stuff, watched some videos, and realized that actually, ironically, he played the character of Bob in Maverick. You know what I'm saying? Top Gun 2. You know, so he is Bob across multiple universes. And I don't know, can we tie these two universes together some kind of way? Some kind of way that Bob come over after serving with, you know, with Tom Cruise. You know what I mean?
If anything, he would be the bridge, wouldn't he? He would be the guy you look at and say, "Oh, well, maybe we could if we wanted to."
Right. They want to go that far, right? So yeah, man. So Lewis Pullman. Then of course we have Wyatt Russell playing U.S. Agent, and we saw him on the Falcon and Winter Soldier series on Disney Plus. We know that he, as they say in the movie, for 2 seconds was Captain America. Spoiler alert again, until he just mercilessly murdered someone in front of everybody.
Broad daylight. Broad daylight. Just, you know, check it out if you haven't seen it, but broad daylight. Just, you know, camera phones everywhere. Just
good grief.
And it was unfortunately the wrong person. it was an innocent person. So
yeah. Well, you know what though? But it's funny because he said it in the thing. This is debatable. If you recall from the series, technically they had just murdered his boy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like Chris Rock said, I'm not saying he should have killed him, but I understand.
But I understand why. I get it.
I understand. Okay, they just murked his boy, man. So that was questionable. That was again, ladies and gentlemen, anti-hero, right? Would you do something if somebody killed your friend? It's debatable. So, but yes, Wyatt Russell. Next, we have David Harbour, who's playing the Red Guardian. I'm not gonna lie, man. To me, he was one of the standout characters in Black Widow movie. David Harbour, he's a bad boy. I mean, we know him from Stranger Things, and everything I see him in, man, I pretty much like him. He's pretty much the scene stiller. I would say he definitely gets into his character for sure. So David Harbour as the.
And if you've seen if you've seen Black Widow, then you know that he brought his charm from Black Widow to Thunderbolts as well.
Absolutely. I was gonna say that too, man. I'm gonna get into it because I was gonna definitely say it. So next we have Olga Kurlenko. Might be butchering the name, but sorry we are. But she's playing Antonio Dreykov. The daughter of Dreykov that we heard about in the Avengers, who became Taskmaster. Once again, another character from Black Widow. And then, of course, last but not least, like we were talking about, not last but not least, we got one more, but Sebastian Stan, we already talked about, but last but not least, Hannah John Kamen, who plays Ghost. And the last time we laid eyes on Ghost, if you can, see, Ghost. But anyway.
I see what you did there.
Oh, I know, right? And so she was on Ant-Man and the Wasp, all right? The second installment of that series, and I liked her character. She played it very well. She was a conflicted character as well. Someone who you can, once you find out what's going on with her, you can kind of understand why, she was doing the things she was doing. Now, was she as fleshed out as Killmonger? No, but she had her reasons, and I was okay with it. So, all right. Next up, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. All right, Valentina Allegra Delafontaine. Okay, make sure you say
the deal. Make sure you say the
dub. You feel what I'm saying? She don't play about that. All right, make sure you say the dub. Okay, so she doing her thing, man. I mean, me and Timmy was talking about this earlier. All the way from Seinfeld. That's where you knew her from. She had a little bit of a star, but I'm gonna tell you something now that she's definitely all in Marvel. She's doing her thing. And let me say this too, man. We looking at her picture. We saw her in the movie. The woman is 64 and she is still killing it. I am very impressed with that because she does not look her age at all. Not here on this picture and not in the movie. So shout out to Julia Dreyfus.
She brings it. Every single time she brings it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I believe the last time we saw her character, if I'm not mistaken, was Wakanda Forever, Black Panther.
Absolutely.
She popped in
unless a Falcon and Winter Soldier was after that, because I can't remember which one comes first, because she ended up, talking to U.S. agent, right? She gave him the suit and all that stuff as well too. So I can't remember if she came first.
Falcon and Winter Soldier was 2021.
Okay. So
and Black Widow was 2022.
Black Panther.
Black Panther was 22.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, then there it is. Yeah, man, definitely doing her thing, and gotta shout my man out. You know what I mean? Wendell
Come
Pierce.
on now.
Okay,
come on.
Now. Everybody know. I'd be remiss if I didn't, mention the Pierce. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my boy, man. He's been doing this thing for a long time. I'm glad to see him, in Marvel. All right, glad to see him in Marvel, man. Finally, yeah, bring Wendell up in here. And definitely with the acting caliber, of his, that to me makes this a more serious movie. You know what I mean? Because he definitely played his role. He always plays his role. So quality actors. That's the balance that they have to do. Put quality actors in here with the superhero stuff, and it makes it more believable. You know what I mean? Gives a lot more credit. So, okay, all right. So cast out of the way. Now it's time to play. All right, Thunderbolts, ladies and gentlemen. Our overview says ensnared in a death trap. an unconventional team of anti-heroes. Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and John Walker embarks on a dangerous mission that forces them to confront the darkest corners of their past. And as we talked before, anti-hero, that's the theme, the darkest corners of their past. These are conflicted characters, ladies and gentlemen, conflicted. All right, not your just average, everyday heroes. All right. Now, basically, we are starting off with our girl Yelena. You know, she seems to be a little bored. You know, this is what she does. She's working basically as a mercenary in a sense. You know, covert missions. You know what I mean? A lot of secretive stuff going on, but it's the same thing. And you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. While that may have seemed like some kind of I'm gonna say a little gimmick or whatever, but just some throwaway thing, I actually appreciated that, because I know how it feels to be at your job sometimes, and you're like, just going through the motions, right? You know what I'm saying? You just doing it, right? Other people might be looking at you like, oh my God, that's awesome. You show up every day and you're doing your thing. But you're like, you know what I mean? Like you're not impressed anymore. You're bored. You're just going through the motions, you know, doing it by the numbers. And that's where she is. I mean, she's a mercenary. She's a spy. She's all these things, but she does it so well. It's so everyday to her that it's like it's nothing. And that's where she is with it, you know? And I feel like that's where most of them are in their lives right now. None of them just seem super happy to be doing what they're doing. It's a check. It's a paycheck, right? And it's something to do past what they were doing before, where they were like we said, the antagonists or, you know, whatnot, but this gives them a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where she is, man. And she's just going through the motions. She's just doing what she got to do. But she does have a particular special mission that we don't know about, and she doesn't know about at first. But then we find out later that she's basically on cleanup. She's doing, you know, what they call damage control. All right. But at the same
word to
time,
describe it.
Great, appreciate it, man. So, but at the same time, what we find out also is that Miss DeFontaine, right now she's talking to the committee. You know what I mean? She's talking to the committee, man, and she got some questions to answer. They want to find out, hey, what's going on? What's all the money going? What are all these secretive missions you have going on? I mean, because from what I understand, she's CIA, right? I know she definitely has some things going on. You know what? You know who she reminds me of?
CIA, though. She is CIA, though.
She is CIA? Okay. You know what she reminds me of? You know, come on, Nick Fury, man, right? You know, kind of mysterious, right? Working on getting a team together and all the stuff here. But basically says, like, look, I know my methods are unconventional. I get all that, but it's for the greater good, you know, of my own interest. You know what I'm saying? So
at the end of the day,
at the end of the day,
this is all for me. You know, y'all work for me. Y'all don't work for nobody. It's for me. Keep that in mind.
Me. Oh man, because it's a certain way that she's able to twist it that makes it sound like, okay, I get that. Yeah, that makes sense, right? You know, but she's pretty good at that.
She can definitely be very believable too. Like, she is for the cause. Yep. But at the end of the day, she'll tell you exactly what. If it aligns in her interests, then it'll get done. At her will. Exactly.
But very powerful woman, you know, very powerful and foreboding, you know what I'm saying, woman. And so formidable, more than anything, very formidable woman. So you know, when she's on the scene, you know what I mean, she's taking care of, you know who's in charge. So I do like her. She's one of those ones where you kind of hate to like her, but you do, because her charisma, right? Her charisma and her personality is just that likable, you know. Until you find out what her true intentions are.
What they say, slick as fish grease.
Hey, that's her, man, and look good while doing it too. So, okay, now, of course, Yelena, man, what we find out from her that she's ready to move on, or she wants to be a true hero. You know, I mean, she doesn't want to be this for the rest of her life. You know, she wants to be more like a sister. You know, a sister end up being a hero. And then we find all this out basically when she meets up with Red Guardian, who we see is, I'm gonna say he's struggling, but he's not like miserable. He's not miserable, but he almost kind of reminds you. But think about it.
He was kind of miserable. But
it seemed like it, right? But think about it for a second. You know who he kind of reminds me of? Kind of reminds me of Thor in in Endgame, right? Thor to let himself go. You know what I mean? But he's happy in his misery, though. That's what I mean. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, to us, he looks miserable, but he's happy in the misery because he's just like, look, man, I got stuff I need, my shows, my pizza, my whatever. He's driving limo. You know what I mean? So he's doing something.
He was definitely reliving the glory days.
Glory days.
Exactly.
But he wants more. He knows that he's tasked with greatness. Of course, we know that Red Guardian was basically the Russian Captain America. Okay, same kind of strength. He took super soldier serum. You know what I mean? All these kind of things here, and served his country. Served it well. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I always like Red Guardian. Man, he's just a good character, man. He's a fun-loving character. Hey, Dimitri, get in the car. So he has that accent, right? But we love him, man, because he's definitely good-hearted, and he wants to do good things. But during their conversation, he basically is like, "Hey, look, your light is dimming. You know what I'm saying? Your light is dimming, and you need more. You need to get back out there and be more like your sister." So this is where she is at with it, man, and she pretty much wants to work that out with DeFontaine, and like, "Hey, look, I'll do this last thing, man. But I need to be back. I need some FaceTime now. I need you to put me out there in front of people and clean up my character a little bit." So that is basically how DeFontaine is able to, get her to go on one more mission. And it's always like that, right? Whether it's John Wick, whether it's anybody, it's always that one last mission, right? The people can never just let you go, right? They always say, just do one more thing. And if you hear them say one more thing, yeah, they probably want to take you out right after you do that last thing for them. So,
absolutely. read the tea leaves. We always never read the tea leaves. We just figure the last one and I'm gone. It's the last one for a reason, because ain't gonna be no more.
Mm-mm.
Ain't gonna be no more you.
Nope.
That's usually a part of the cleanup.
Exactly. So we always know that there's no more, there's no getting out, So, but that's okay. There are certain tropes. There are certain tropes in movies, right, that are going to happen that you should know. If you watch enough movies, you should know by now that if this sketchy person says they got one more mission, yeah, they're going to probably try to kill you. But however, right, and I'm saying that to say, as reviewers, I can look at that and say, I kind of know where this is going. You know what I mean? So that's definitely one thing. Okay, so we talked about Red Guardian, Yelena, all right, where she is with everything and what she wants in life. But basically now, okay, and some of the stuff you're going to see in the trailers. Basically now, we have been told this one last mission, right? What we find out that is basically there's other people involved in this last mission, okay? And as we said before, DeFontaine has been basically recruiting all these anti-heroes from Taskmaster to Ghost, which unfortunately we don't see her recruit Ghost, but we get to assume, all right? And then of course John Walker. Now, per the trailers, because you know how we do here, we don't want to spoil it for you.
No, we go off what we saw. We go off what we see.
Going off what we saw. Obviously, just as the first Avengers did, when they got together and first saw each other for the first time, they fight because they don't know who's who, right? Well, we get that same thing, right? And I've noticed too that they kind of set it up like the Avengers, the way they did it, but a little differently. But of course, we get that. So that's what you see on the trailer. We see that when these characters first meet each other, they do exactly what Avengers did, and they're fighting each other, okay? And just as the Avengers did, and what was going on, there has to be something else going on that's more important than them. You know what I mean? That's more of a threat to all of humanity than just themselves. Okay. So I feel like at this point here, there's certain things that happen that lets you know yes, they were the bad people on that particular series or that movie, but in this particular movie here, they show signs of humanity and goodness in them by certain things that they do. Right, whether they leave someone, they could leave somebody behind, or they could come back for them, and so forth and so on. So through all of this, this is what we get. We get some fighting until certain things get worked out, and we realize, hey, we're all on the same team. But during this fighting, who do we get introduced to? Bob, the infamous Bob, B-O-B.
Good old Bob.
Good old Bob. And that is played by Lewis Pullman again. And, what we also find out, there's a lot of mystique behind this character. We don't know what is going on here. Why don't we just call him Bob anyway? What Bob what? You know what I mean? Barker, who? Like what who are you, Bob?
Bob Saget, you know what I'm saying?
Bob Saget, right. I was trying to think about Bob. I couldn't, right? Who are you, Bob? And what are you doing here amongst all these so-called anti-heroes and mercenaries and all these talented people, right?
And where did you come from?
Where did you come from? And so that is the biggest mystique. However, they can't just leave Bob behind, right? So, okay, Bob is now part of this team, right? But he's more of an asset. You know what I'm saying? He's more of a liability. He's somebody to take care of. So we think. All right. Again, this is not spoiling anything because I think everybody knows by now. They started, kind of advertising it, saying it everywhere. But there is a character called the Sentry. And what we find out is that DeFontaine has been working on making this character, bringing him to life, making him a part of a new task force of sorts that can help protect the world. Because, as she said in the trailer, the Avengers are gone. They're not coming. So what do we do? What do we do? And that's what she's working on. So her intentions are good, right? But a little skewed.
Right.
Her methods a little skewed.
Yeah, her method of getting there might be pretty screwed.
Yeah. So, but I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, I mean, hey, man, other decisions have been made, questionable decisions have been made that turned out to be for the good of the people, right? You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
That's where we are. That's exactly where we are, man. And we don't want to spoil anything, but there's some false advertising. I know you said you might want to mention that, but that's some false advertising. Am I correct, brother?
Oh, absolutely. There's some a little bit of illusions of grandeur.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of hokey pokey going on too. I mean, y'all will see it when y'all see it, man. But just enjoy the ride that Thunderbolts and Marvel are taking y'all on, quote unquote Dwayne Johnson. Okay, just enjoy the ride that they're taking you on.
Oh my God, yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So that's all we'll say about that. We don't want to spoil that part of it because I feel like that would definitely give you an idea of whether you want to go see it or not, depending on who you like. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff. So we try to tiptoe around this, but let's just say there's some false advertising going on. Now, if you watch Marvel movies, you know that there are things in the trailers that don't absolutely meet up in the movie, and vice versa, so forth and so on, because they like to throw you off. They definitely try to throw you off in this movie. So just
absolutely, there's voice hiding. There's a lot of tricks that they use to kind of throw you for a loop in these trailers. So once you see the real film and you see what we're talking about, just comment down below. Highlight some of the trickery that you might have fell for watching these trailers.
Exactly. Yes. And we, as we talked offline about it, they didn't really have to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing that's kind of a little frustrating. So, okay, now,
absolutely.
So Bob is involved. We know that is the person who they want to be the Sentry. They see certain little, let's just say, ideas that have been written down on paper of how the Sentry could look. I mean, they're literally working on his hair, from his hair to his costume, everything, right? And just a quick little history
logo, all of it,
everything. Quick little history on that. This character was created in 2000s in the comics, and just for everybody who's listening, Marvel goes from the comics. That's how this works. They try to interpret the comics onto live action screen. That's what this whole thing is about. This character was created in the 2000s, and he was supposed to be, the equivalent of DC's Superman. He has all these powers, super strength, super speed, just everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything. Everything that you can think of. And again, like he said, the equivalent of Superman. So you already think of Superman. You put that out there, and you can already assume, maybe a green rock is his weakness. Who knows? But that's a bad mamma jamma right there.
It is. But here's the difference: is that as we started off saying, that we told you the theme is anti-hero. So everybody on here is an anti-hero, including the Sentry. And when we find out that the Sentry also has some dark corners as well. But we'll get to that. So, okay. Now we got the team. So, we found out some things, that some things aren't as we thought they were. And basically now we have turned our mission into, let's get the person that's responsible for all of this, that put us in this position in the first place. And that's where we are. We are now basically
always
going
a bigger
after,
threat.
Always the bigger threat. We are now going after that bigger threat.
Mm-hmm. That's how we unite the team. There's a bigger threat ahead, and we need to work together, because if we don't, none of us are going to make it. Exactly.
Now, I love where Bucky is, and you mentioned it. His arc is definitely for someone who came from, best friend Steve Rogers to antagonist, Steve Rogers, and basically start turning his life back around. We knew that all he had to do was say the little magic words and we could get him to be a killer. Fortunately, the good people in Wakanda was able to cure him of that, and now he's just a man just trying to figure things out, 100-some-year-old man, trying to figure things out, his place in this world, in this time. So now Bucky, as we know from Captain America, all right, Brave New World, he's become a congressman. You know what I'm saying? And which nobody saw coming, but very good turn of events for him, I would say. And it's definitely one of those lessons where it's like, no matter where you start off in life, the finish line is what's important. You know what I'm saying? Getting to that finish line, where do you end up at? And that's definitely true of Bucky Barnes. But Bucky, he's not too fond of DeFontaine, and his mission is to try to find some stuff on her, get her up out of there, because he doesn't like what he sees and what he knows. I mean, this is somebody who came from Hydro, you know what I'm saying? And, so he knows somebody's sketchy when he sees it. All right. So that's what his mission is, and,
absolutely.
Just watching him trying to, navigate through. He's used to just punching, right? He just comes in, punch, shoot something, and that's it. But now you got to use your words. You know what I'm saying? You have to find out how to navigate through all this red tape. And that's not an easy task for somebody who's just used to walking into a room and just shooting up the place, and then boom, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Mission complete. So that was very interesting watching his arc as well, and watching him do what he does. But along the way of this right here, I feel like we were watching somebody try to clean up the MCU a little bit, because we know that we've been struggling. We've been struggling. So that's what I saw.
Good way to look at it, brother.
I'm watching them try to clean this up. Now, let me go ahead and say this real quick. I like Captain America: Brave New World. I did. I really did. And I think that Anthony Mackie did a great job, playing Sam Wilson, coming behind somebody like Captain America. I mean, Captain America, come on, man. He was everything. He was everything you
That's
American
him.
hero.
That's him.
Right?
That's Timothy.
Okay, come on, man. So, I get the struggle that he had, not only in the movie, but outside the movie, because you already know real people out here just didn't want to see their Captain America changed. You know what I mean? That's just how things are. But I think he still did a great job. Please go back and check out our review of Captain America: Brave New World if you want to see what we said about that. But I am also aware of the struggles that movie had when you're talking about the strikes, the writer strikes, and you know what I'm saying, and everything that was going on at that time, and also the reshoots that they had to do. You know what I mean? They had a couple reshoots, And I don't think that's the fault of the director, man. You know what I'm saying? You still gotta answer to the producer. You know, the producer got to answer to the studio, so forth and so on, man. So they like to just point blame at, oh, it was Anthony Matthews' fault, or this person's fault. Like, come on, man. There's a lot more going on than that. However, what I will say about this so far is the fluidity. You know, I feel like this movie is a little more fluid. It's a little more fluid. Definitely a little more easier to follow along, especially with people that they were introducing and so forth and so on. So again, more digestible, just more digestible of a movie. Necessarily way better? No, not really, but more fluid? Absolutely. I do. Think it's a lot easier to follow along. And so that's where we are so far. All right, now, so far, I've heard some things, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm not super happy with John Walker. I wasn't a fan of him on that show. Definitely still not a fan of him just because he's just an a-hole. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a very unlikable character to me. You know what I mean? Very unlikable. But I think that's part of it, right? He's supposed to be unlikable because he's the anti-Captain America, right? He's the contrast.
Exactly. The complete opposite.
Complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I don't. You know, but movie magic. Don't forget that, brother. So, you know, when you guys see the movie, you'll come to understand. You know, and with all anti-heroes, there's always a tale, or there's always something. You know what I'm saying? Even to the most hated character, it's gonna be something that'll tug at the strings to make you, all right, man, kind of ease up on them a little bit, you know? So, call that movie magic.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you mean. Yes, absolutely. John has more things going on than he would like to reveal. And, you know, tough guys act tough, right? They don't want to share their feelings. They don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to show emotions. And the same is true of John Walker, right? But the more bravado he shows, the more he has his chest stuck out, the more you kind of see that you're compensating for something, aren't you? You know what I'm saying? Like something's going on. Yeah, something's going on with your life. And I like that about all of the characters. You know what I'm saying? All of them did have some struggles that make you say, all right, I'll give them a little break. You know what I'm saying? But again, like I said earlier, they all show signs of goodness in them that lets you see, like, oh, if somebody was just to work with you, you know what I mean? You might be okay. You know what I'm saying? To be a hero out here. You know, you just need a little rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? You just need a PR, a little PR agent. You know what I'm saying? A little public relations agent. Show you how to talk in public and everything like that. You might be able to pull this thing off. So that part was fun. Watching, just kind of watching him kind of get that thing figured out. But again, I'm gonna bring back the reason why I was saying some of the things about him. I'll put that in my review. Okay, so now we do know, like I said, Bob becomes Sentry, and this happens. So this is in the trailers. We already know. Okay, well, things don't always go the way they plan, do they, DeFontaine? And when they don't, who are you going to call to come and fix this? Because, as she said, the Avengers are not here. Well, fortunately, you have this team of anti-heroes who are here right on time to come and embark on this dangerous mission, as the overview said. And here comes the fun part, man. Because, I like the antagonists that seem so powerful. Like, they just OP, they just overpowered. That you just don't know how to basically handle this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I like that. You know what I'm saying? It makes it more challenging. Raises the stakes and everything like that. I mean, we see from the trailer. I mean, this dude is putting people in shadows. You know what I'm saying? Like he's making them a mark on the ground. You know what I mean?
How exactly do you beat that,
dude?
Darkness floods the city. Darkness floods the town.
Yeah. And we find out that darkness is called the Void because if you know about the character, yes, he's all powerful and he's supposed to be good, but there is a darkness to him, and that darkness is called the Void. So he's a character who who struggles, right? He struggles with trying to keep that part of him at bay, and I think that's where everything kind of goes awry, and that's when you need to bring in these heroes to try to fix this.
And that's when it makes for an interesting development change in the story. You guys get some riveting, interesting fight scenes, interesting story dialogue, a little bit more character development in between. I'd say the real meat and potatoes of the film comes after that act when the when the lights start going dark.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's when you get it. That's when it's kind of turn it up. That's when it's like, hey, look, all the bickering between each other and all that needs to stop. We have a mission. We got to see this through. And it's time to do that. And I was cool with that. I was cool with, you know how it is, man. The innocent bystanders on the street, you get to show these heroes trying to save people. They're putting their lives at risk. You know what I'm saying? We see Bucky Barnes, as we saw from the trailer. He gets to join them as well. Take off the suit, you know what I'm saying? Take off the suit and tie and get back to being the hero that he is, which is where he's more comfortable at. So that was awesome as well. And so, yes, without spoiling everything or whatever, you get to see some character development, like my man said, and that part of it is good. And in the review, I'm about to get to the part I feel like it's not so good, and which caused me to rate this film at where I am going to rate it at. So, without further ado.
Yeah, because I think we've done a great job of breaking the film down. I thought we gave you some without spoiling it for you. That's our favorite part. But I think you're right, Price. I think it's time we go ahead and break this thing on down for the review portion and, go ahead and give our ratings and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I think it's time to do that. Okay, so I'll jump in first. Man, okay. Let me get this out first. All right. Yes, more fluid than Captain America. And I don't know if I want to say more fun, because I did have fun with Captain America. I think Captain America has a more serious tone. I think it definitely has a more serious tone than this one. And that is part of the problem, but that's also part of the good part about it. Captain America may have been too serious because they were really trying to recreate the Winter Soldier espionage and, all the things that was going on over there. They really tried to replicate that. But of course, with the reshoots and everything that was going on, they dropped the ball a little bit on that. But I cannot blame the director for that. Now, enter this movie. There's a little bit of a serious tone to it. However, the comedic inserts that they try to put in here kind of waters that down a little bit, right? So certain parts of it I just couldn't take serious just because of their attempt at the comedy, right? And I think that was part of the cure, but also part of the problem. If you came in there not wanting to have something so super serious because you knew these are not Avengers, these are anti-heroes, these are kind of throwaway characters, then you're already gonna come into it not taking them seriously anyway. So for them to be a little jokey and so forth and so on, that's okay. However, the problem with that was some of those jokes didn't land. They just didn't. Some of those jokes were a little corny. I have my suspicions as to why, but I won't go there. But let's just say some of them were a little corny. Now, when it came to Yelena, I feel like they always kind of give her good lines, and she delivers them very well. Florence Pugh is a really good actress. I did not know that she was from Midsummer's Dream, that A24 movie. But she has, every time I've seen her on screen, I feel like she owns the character. She was very entertaining with that character in Black Widow. She's doing the same here. So she kind of carries the movie in that sense. I always love when she's on screen. Bucky is Bucky. Bucky is always Bucky. I've never had a problem with him. He knows that character in and out. He knows how to play him. He knows he's a character who is struggling with his place in life. Red Guardian, let me tell you something. Every time Red Guardian's on screen, I love it. He's very entertaining. He's funny. His jokes land. You know what I'm saying? To me, his jokes land very well. Ghost, Ghost is conflicted as well, but she's not a comic relief. You see what I'm saying? So I don't look for the comedy with her. I think when they try to give her comedic stuff, it just doesn't flow as well because that's not her character. And John Walker. Okay. I was not a fan of him, you know what I mean? Of his character, you know what I'm saying? He's just an a-hole. But in this movie here, the jokes that they give him definitely, they just don't hit. Like in the trailer, when you hear him say, "Where were you?" Like, "Where were you?" It's like, that's not funny. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make me feel any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? It's just like throwaway lines. So he didn't have the greatest lines in the movie, but I liked his action. His action was cool because they needed another super powered person. You know what I mean? Because if you got just Elena and Taskmaster isn't superpowered. You know what I'm saying? Now she can mimic all your moves and so forth and so on, but she's not superpowered. Ghost isn't superpowered. She just has a power that allows her to walk through walls and so forth and so on. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to hit her. So they had to have another superpowered person. So now you got Red Guardian, you got John Walker, and you got Bucky. That makes the team a little bit more formidable. You know what I mean? Just like Yelena says in there. So we just punch and shoot. That's all we do, right? Exactly. So that's not so like, oh, ooh, wow, right? Especially when you're going against heroes or have heroes that can fly and they're super power, they shoot lasers out of their eyes and all type of stuff, right? It makes this team seem a little boring at times, right? But I feel like where they shine or shone was with the heart that they started to display. You get a chance to see these people come together where of course they were fighting at first and they're supposed to be bad guys, but you actually get to see a pretty decent character arc with them, as X was hinting toward earlier with John Walker's past and the things that he's going through. There's more to meet than meets the eye with that character, and I see it, but I just, like I said, the jokes I just wasn't impressed with. But I was impressed with the fluidity. I was impressed with the the character development that they kind of opened these characters up a little bit. In the other movies they were kind of one-sided, right? They were just a bad guy, but you got a chance to see them open up a little bit, and you got a chance to see, oh, okay, so this is who this person really is. This is how they think, and this is how they feel. Now I would have liked more, and I will say there's a lot going on in this 2 hour and 7 minute movie. But also that is part of the problem as well. I actually was ready to be done when it got to that mark. Unlike Sinners that I just watched before, 2 hours and 17 minutes, I could have probably watched another 17 minutes. You know what I'm saying? On top of that. So it didn't flow as well as that, but that's, completely different movie, different genre, everything. But does this flow as well as past Marvel movies? I think that's what people want to know. Yeah, I think it did. I think this is probably one of the better ones they've had in some years. And I think they did a great job of preparing us for what's coming. It's been a long time since we watched a movie where I felt prepared for what's coming next. And make sure y'all stick around for those post-credit scenes, especially the very last one. It will be very important. I think we are back when it comes to the end movie stingers and setting you up. That's what the first Infinity Saga did well. They set you up for the next movies that were coming out, and this movie is back on track with doing it. So we're saying that with everything that went on, I think I'm gonna sit at a pretty comfortable 8 with this movie, because fleshed out, yes, some things didn't land, some things were a little forced, but I do feel pretty good about this movie and where they're taking it, with the series. So. And you will find out what that asterisk is for at the end. That's a good thing right there. So I'm going to sit with an 8, and that's where I'm going to be at.
That brother does it again, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't he know how to execute?
Funny boy.
Listen, I'd like to start out from a different perspective when it comes to this film. If you all are following, if you know. This is the final film of Phase 5 before we, quote-unquote, pick it up, for all of you that like to say that, for Phase 6, because we already know what this Phase 6 slate is. The end credit scene is what will tie into Phase 6, because that's the beginning of Phase 6, and we just ended Phase 5. So, as far as being compared to the predecessors, like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, that ended Phase 4, Far From Home, which ended Phase 3. I think Ant-Man ended Phase 2. The Avengers ended Phase 1. I agree, it's a continuity that flows. It flows a lot better. I do think the reshoots kind of didn't help Captain America 4. But as far as Thunderbolts, asterisk, I think it helped as far as telling a story. I think every individual has a story, and when you bring misfits together for a collective, you get gold out of that. When you guys go see this movie, there's a reason why I started this out the way I started it out. There's certain fight scenes, there's certain things in here that can tie into everything that I mentioned at the beginning of this. So that stuff right there and what I left the movie feeling like, I won't, you know, that's my feelings and I won't change that. You know, that mental health is something that's very important to me in my life. So I think it was nice to kind of see that play out, especially the way they used the Sentry for this. Like the way his character is being used from beginning plot to end plot. It just, I think it was a very good use of it. Sometimes we can get in Marvel movies, we can get villains where it's like they kind of don't make sense for what they're going through, but they tell the story in a way to kind of make the villain make sense. So I think it was a great use of Sentry. I think it was a great use of Red Guardian, Taskmaster, Ghost. I think it was a great use of John Walker. I think it was a great use of the White Widow or Black Widow, whichever y'all would like to call her. Everybody having their own individual stories, their own plights. I think the way they tied Bucky into it was very good too, because again, you can't change somebody. He put on this suit, he's still the Winter Soldier at the end of the day. He'll always have his reputation, as he was reminded in the movie. You'll always have your reputation for what you do, but trying to bridge into this new realm where you got to use your words and stuff, it's just a lot of different dynamics for everybody that I think help make it what it is. Now, my dings will come from the false advertisement that y'all, and emotional trauma that y'all put me through. I don't need to contact any lawyers for that, but next time y'all do it, maybe I will. I agree with you also, Price. I do feel, for if you've lived with these characters, you kind of get their sense of humor, kind of in a sense. So pairing it all together, sometimes it just doesn't mesh. There were some jokes like from Walker. There's some jokes from, Yelena that they just fell flat. You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to make a funny moment out of a moment that wasn't necessarily funny to begin with. Felt a little bit more serious. So, like, you don't need to force the humor. I let it flow more natural. You know what I'm saying? There were jokes that flew more natural. There was kind of like, I get that. I got you. There were some that were kind of like, was that needed though? Nah, not really. But I think to sum up my review, I would say that it was a greatly shot film. I think the cast members brought it. I think the director brought it. Jake Schreier, I believe, was the director's name. Mm-hmm. Schrader. Mm-hmm. I think he brought it with his vision and execution of Thunderbolts, asterisk. As, again, y'all will know why it's an asterisk by the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. I think with all that being said, I'm going to rate this a 9. I think I enjoyed it. I would see it again. I'm probably going to see it again because, I enjoy watching these Marvel movies. But I enjoyed it for the message that they tried to convey to us. I enjoyed it for what they were trying to come across on the screen. And I'm excited, obviously, those end credit scenes, for what's next. Mm-hmm. So, make sure y'all stay for the mid and the post.
For sure. Absolutely. Great. My man. Well, hey, that looks like that puts it at about 8.5, 8.5, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, okay. Not bad. Marvel, you're starting to get it back, getting your momentum back. We love it. That's what we like to see, the old Marvel. I like to drop also, because I know you shout out Jake Schreier. This movie was made on a budget of $180 million, and currently, right now, today, May 4th, we are sitting at $76 million. So they're almost to half. They need about $14 more million to be halfway there. But I think they will make their money back for sure. I think once everybody gets a little wind that Marvel is starting to get it back, I think they'll go back out there in droves. So, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Appreciate it, man. Very good, man. Hey, oh man, you broke it down, bro. I like that. You broke it down. Good stuff. I mean, good stuff, bro. I can't even lie to you, bro. I mean, I stand by what I was saying, but I definitely understand exactly why you're saying what you're saying, man, for sure. And I agree with everything you said.
Appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So while you on the roll, if you don't mind, can you give us the QOTD, the quote of the day?
Of course. And, we like to hit y'all over the head with a couple of these. So the one for today reads, sometimes you just need to hear how much you mean to someone. Very apropos to what we watched and very apropos to the asterisk of Thunderbolts.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you. Good.
But since I gave him the quote, why don't you go ahead and hit him with that mantra, my brother?
Come on, man. You know how we do. It's not the quantity of people. It's the quality. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much as always. As always, joining us. Make sure, like my man said in the beginning, please like. And subscribe. And don't forget to turn on your notification.
Turn that bell on, sucker.
Ding. Thank y'all again for joining us, as y'all always do. We appreciate your time. And once again, may the fourth be with you. And we would be remiss if we did not shout out the best producer out there. Shout out Timmy, the producer. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. Make sure y'all do understand it. When y'all getting that information from us, hey, man, we're just giving you what Timmy gives us, man. You know what I'm saying? She does great research on these movies and such, and these actors as well. So we appreciate her always.
Timmy.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. As always, as we say, we love y'all here. Please join us next time, because y'all know, man, it's on. It's May now, baby. It's on and popping. You know what I mean? So we doing everything. You know what I mean? We got a bunch of stuff coming up, y'all. So please stick with us, and we will join you next time. All right, Hangerz, have a good one. We love you. Peace.